Welcome to today's edition of The Issues on Voice of the People TV. I am your host, Jerry Nnpcl. Welcome once again to The Issues, where we delve into the wide range of topics that impact our daily lives. Our team of seasoned analysts provides a deep insight and comprehensive overviews of the matters that affect people the most. Join us as we explore the complex discussions that shape our society, equipping you with expert perspectives to navigate the path ahead. We start off by talking about Nigeria, which is now facing a surge in economic pressures, with intercity bus fares rising sharply due to increasing fuel prices. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the average fare of intercity bus journeys jumped by 20.23% to 7,117 naira 17 kobo in July 2024 compared to 5,919 naira 49 kobo in July 2023. This follows a month-on-month increase of 0.35% from 7,092 naira 0.3 kobo and in June 2024. Still more, where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has announced its intention to engage reputable and credible operations and maintenance companies to operate and maintain the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company and the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company. Right away from that, where the Nigerian Police Force has invited the President of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Comrade Joe Ajero, and the Secretary General of the Union, Comrade Emmanuel Ugboaja, for questioning over alleged criminal intimidation, malicious damage to properties, and conduct likely to cause breach of public peace. Away from that, where Donald Duke, a former governor of Cross River State, has criticized President Bola Tinubu for buying a new presidential jet and yacht, despite the country's economic crisis. He appeared on the TV program where he said that such extravagance is a failure on the part of leadership. Right after this short break, we'll dig deeper into these topics and more. Don't go away as we continue our exploration. Hello and welcome back. Let's now delve into the heart of our discussion. We started off earlier by talking about Nigeria, which is facing a surge in economic pressures, with intercity bus fares rising, sharply due to increasing fuel prices. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the average fare of intercity bus journeys jumped by 20.23% in July 2024 compared to the figures of 5,919 naira 49 kobo in July 2023. And this follows a month-on-month increase of 0.35% from 7,092 naira in June 2024. The rise in fuel prices has been dramatic, with diesel prices surging by 73.63% to 1,379 naira per litre in July 2024, up from 794 naira 48 kobo per litre a year earlier. Petrol prices also climbed by 28.35% to 717 naira 54 kobo per litre compared to 600 naira in July 2023. And the impact of the rising fuel prices is being felt across the country, with Anambra State recording the highest average fare for intercity bus travel as at 9,566 naira, followed by Gombe State at 8,299 naira, and conversely, Kwara State had the lowest fare of 5,518 naira, with Ebonyi State slightly higher at 5,596 naira 1 kobo. All right, and of course, back here in the cities, talking about most especially in Lagos and Abuja, there's a lot of fuel queues and a lot of traffic jam here and there. Everybody queuing and looking for fuel. Even these days, vehicles break down on the road and they go about running to buy fuel to continue their journey. It has gotten that bad. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two esteemed guests. Here in the studio, we have Mr. Peter Nnpcl. Mr. Nnpcl is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator. Recent surge in fuel prices and intercity bus fares. Are there any immediate measures they should implement to alleviate the financial burden on our ordinary Nigerians? But it looks like they're no longer saying anything, because everything they've said and exhausted have turned out to become lies and empty promises.
Well, in a situation like this, there are many forces that affect the situation. And the case of Nigeria and other African countries, the forces are very extensive. So Nnpcl has not been successful in containing pricing and other things in their control. That's not good for them. At the same time, I think it's important to understand that Nigerians, do undermine a lot of things, even when those things are hurting them. So it's a mixed bag, and obviously the people suffering are the masses. And when we say the masses, there's always that 5% or so that will be living in luxury, and the rest are the people who are suffering. So on one hand, I believe that Nnpcl has a lot to do. They have to keep digging and looking for ways to help the situation. At the same time, the hope is that other agencies will help in their own way, and that the people will help. I read about the Nnpcl trying to see if they can hand over the management of the refineries and for the country.
All right, let's go to Mr. Nnpcl. If you take a look at it, for days now, and of course it started as at last week, we've seen sudden fuel queues. The Nnpcl assured that by Wednesday, as at 2 weeks ago, that the fuel queues is going to be over. But it seems they are getting worse every day. And now they've suddenly gone blank. They're no longer telling us anything, no information, no news. We're just going through the problem, and it's getting worse, as if we don't have government, as if we don't have this field in our backyard. We are suffering like a country that doesn't produce oil.
Well, what we are experiencing is a leadership failure. That is what we are experiencing in the country. It is the root of what Nigerians are going through at the moment, leadership failure. These people, this APC government promised us a CNG buses, that when they remove subsidy, they would run out the CNG buses. They made some 100,000, 50,000, and so on and so forth. Nnpcl has run out. Every evil has expiry date. So their lies has come to an end, because Bob Mandy say you can deceive some people sometimes, but you cannot deceive all the people all the time. So Nigerians are now wiser. What you can now pay to go to East is under Goodluck Jonathan. What you will pay by air to Enugu and come back is what you pay by road to Enugu at this point in time. That is the transport fare by road to Enugu 10 years ago is what you go by air to Enugu and back. And this is also one of the reasons why price of food commodities are very high, because those senders add what they pay on transport to the cost of their own products. So what is happening now is as if there's no government in the country, because you are no more hearing anything. What we read about some hours ago is that Tinubu has left Nigeria to China. A man whose house is on fire is chasing bush rats. It's like what they say about this guy who was holding a banquet while Rome was on fire. Understand me? So what we're experiencing is lack of leadership, and it goes everywhere. It's affecting every sector of government, because the ideas must come from the top. And right now, nothing credible, nothing tangible, nothing substantial is coming from the top. That's why what is happening now is happening. But to me, it's not a surprise. Just like nothing happened under Buhari was a surprise to me, because I knew that that's how it's going to go. But I had expected more from Tinubu. I had expected better from Tinubu. But foundation is always important. Once the foundation is wrong, nothing that you put on that foundation will stand.
All right. With fuel prices hitting records are high and transportation costs are rising, how do you foresee the economic pressure influencing public sentiment and political stability in Nigeria?
Well, you cannot control a hungry man. You cannot control a hungry man. They are talking of Fairness October. And what is happening at this point in time is encouraging the Fairness October. That's the October protest. My thinking was that government should start doing something to prevent it, but rather they have gone into their cocoons and now left the masses to suffer. So for me, if things continue this way, that nobody can predict what will happen in October.
All right, we're talking about October now, Dr. Joe, because people are going to be planning to, normally Nigerians make moves to travel in the month of December. I want to see a situation this will continue, and as of last year, a lot of Nigerians didn't travel like it used to be. Under this dispensation, it's more like traveling has become even more difficult, not to talk of during the festive period. It looks like a lot of policies are taking away the shine and the beauty this country used to enjoy in the past years. And of course, Dr. Joe, you are in the United States. I must tell you that Nigeria right now is at a breaking point. But our leaders still feel that all is well. Take a look at the situation. What's the way forward?
I don't know if I would say that the leaders think that all is well. I don't see the evidence of that. I think that the leaders have stated in so many ways, and that they understand that things are hard. And again, the public always want to know more.
Is it you are saying the leaders know? Is it all the talk and no action? Are we talking about leaders who have been talking with no action to back up their talk?
Well, they should be doing both. So
they should be doing both. Are they doing any? Are there any signs on ground to show that they are doing anything at all? Because we've all been seeing talk, no action.
Interestingly, actions on the ground, sadly, is usually the last phase when the economy is bad. Okay, currently the inflation rate in Nigeria has actually come down, but people don't feel it, and the reason is because it takes time.
Dr. Joe, you're in the United States. Inflation comes down. Because I remember back then there was the APC actually came out and said that the NBS statistics is actually not true when they said inflation was rising. How come now this same government are backing a statistics that does not reflect on the streets?
The reality on ground.
The reality on ground. They are now accepting it because the statistics is saying there's a little chance that the inflation has gotten down. Is that not double standard for you?
I get, okay?
Okay.
I'm at critical economic data that countries use, okay? There is no doubt that on the ground, things have not come down. What I'm saying, though, is that when you look at the economic picture of Nigeria, looking at the data, they don't look as bad. They were bad a few months ago. They are looking better. But people on the ground will not feel it because there are many forces. In this country, inflation came down to one of the lowest, yet, we are not feeling it. That's how it works. It takes time because it doesn't translate to things being better immediately because there are many forces. The forces include government actions. The forces include manufacturers' actions. The forces include supply and demand, simple supply and demand. And in the case of Nigeria, security is a major problem in Nigeria that affects many things. And then you have people who are doing price gouging. You have people who are undermining other things. So again, it's okay to blame the government because the person who carries the head, who has the head, is responsible. However, it is wrong to say the government is not doing anything. They are doing something, but that doesn't mean that it has translated. So I understand the frustration.
What is this something that you perceive from the United States that we in Nigeria are not seeing?
Oh, there are many things you can read about. There are a number of things. We can designate that as one program.
Is it what we read that Nigeria is going to eat to bed at night? Is what we read on papers suddenly because there's a statistic that this same government has opposed that it's actually not the true reality that we will now take to buy fuel? Because, for instance, I was supposed to buy, I tried to buy bread today. A bread I normally buy for 1,400 was sold to me for 2,100. And the fact was that a bread that was sold for 1,500 is now for 2,100. So if, for instance, the inflation has gone down, as little as bread, if it doesn't affect it, it doesn't mean anything. Okay, now we're having fuel queues. How, even if there's, for instance, any sincerity in that statistics all of a sudden, according to the government, now there are fuel queues. How are we going to back that up? Because the fuel queues, even if inflation statistics are saying the economy is getting better, the fuel queues is going to even make the inflation situation even 10 times worse.
Okay, I got your point. I don't think things are not high. I'm not arguing about that. I'm not saying that not. All I'm saying is when you look at the economic measures for Nigeria, they are not getting worse, but things have not translated to the common man. That's a fact. Okay? Therefore, effort should be made. And I saw one effort in what you sent. One effort is where the Consumer Protection Agency is threatening to sue traders. Okay? That is one measure. Is it good? We can debate about that because I have my own opinion about that. But that's a measure that government uses. Just like here, they call the various business leaders in Washington and ask them questions. Why are things so high? Okay? So the point is, when the economy is bad, things don't trickle down to to the public. It's easier to be bad. It takes a month to be bad, but it takes up to a year to be good, even when good things are done, because there are many forces. Okay, that's what is happening here. I went to buy bread yesterday, and I noticed that it has added $20, 20 cents. Okay, that's a lot of money if you look at it. That's how things are. Gas has also added. And this is a weekend of holiday. A lot of people are complaining. Yet, the inflation has come down, and the FCC is looking at decreasing interest rate more because they notice the inflation is down, but they're still trying to help. So the point I'm making is we all agree that things are bad, and Nigerian government should do more. But what I'm saying is it is wrong to say they are not doing anything. It is wrong to say Nigerians. Okay? I think what is right to say is they need to do more, whatever that means. And like I said, they are going after the traders. Is that right? That may not work. But just by putting that information there, it does give warning to some traders that may be gouging prices. That's what they do here too. They sue people here.
The answer is no. Dr. Udaja said that that government is doing something from what he is reading. I am saying that government is doing nothing because I am living it. I am feeling it. Government is not doing anything. Tinubu government has run out of ideas. They are confused. They don't know what to do anymore. So government is doing absolute nothing. Nigeria is like a pilot has lost his compass. So we don't know where we are heading to at this point in time. How can inflation be coming down when you just saw that intercity transport is on a rise? How can inflation be coming down when there's no petrol in the country? How can inflation be coming down when there's epileptic power supply in the country? What are those indices that will bring down the inflation? Nothing. Then for government suing traders, it is a senseless policy. It is a senseless policy. What they want to do is to encourage hoarding. That's what they want to achieve, and which will cause more hunger in the country, because people sell as they buy. If I buy at a high cost, I must sell at a high cost. There's no two ways about it. For government to say that I must sell at this and so price, if I'm selling food commodities, then the government should provide it from their own farm. Government did not create an enabling environment. There's no incentive. People squeeze what they are selling from the stone, and you now want to force them to sell at a particular price. It will not happen, and it cannot happen. When Lagos State government wanted to introduce rent control, Jakande has to build many estates. Understand me? Jakande has to build many
companies to operate and maintain the Warri Refinery and Petrochemical Company, and of course the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company. The Warri Refinery is located in Delta State and was commissioned in 1978 and has a capacity to process 125,000 barrels per day. The refinery complex also includes a petrochemical plant that produces polypropylene, and carbon black. The refinery is designed to supply petroleum products to markets in the south and southwest regions of Nigeria. The Kaduna Refinery, on the other hand, was commissioned in 1980 and has a capacity to produce 110,000 barrels per day. The refinery has undergone several expansions, including the addition of a second crude train dedicated to the production of lubricating oils, which has increased its capacity. The refinery is intended to supply petroleum products to northern Nigeria. All right, and of course, I remember an interview where the ex-president of Nigeria, talking about Olusegun Obasanjo, actually said that they invited Shell to buy the refinery, to manage the refineries. And he said, and I quote, that the Shell Development Company refused the offer, saying that they don't want to touch the refineries there because most of the facilities in that refinery are dead, and the corruption in our refinery system is stinking. Okay, and still yet, the Nnpcl has used this opportunity to continue to bamboozle Nigerians that the refinery is going to work, citing from a man who has been there for 8 years. And the promises the Nnpcl have been making, and for a company as big as Shell to refuse the offer to maintain the refineries, are we not seeing another situation where Nigerians are being drilled with Dr. Joe Odeaja for another period of time where a lot of time will be wasted, futures will be killed and destroyed because the government has failed to face the truth under this dispensation, knowing that these refineries, I don't want to say they are not going to work, might never work, because it looks like it's another way of dreaming and telling us they're going to give it to personal, private people to maintain once more.
Couple of comments. The point was that inflation in Nigeria has not gone down. Well, let me give you these numbers and you can check it out. In June, Nigerian inflation was 34.19. In July, which is the last date they have, it is 33.4. Again, does that mean that things are well? No, but it came down. With regards to what you said about the consumer agency, I do not even agree with them. I do not agree that they should force the traders. What I like in their statement, though, is that they said they are working with the traders and manufacturers to work together to find out what are the issues and what they can do. However, if they find that some people are gouging price, they use the authority they have. You know, consumer agencies here, just like in Nigeria, they are there to protect the consumer. They are like between the consumer, the manufacturers, and the government. So what they are saying, or what the threat they made, is not really good. However, if you read below, you find things are doing to make sure that those traders, and they gave a lot of good reasons, the traders, that they are looking into those. But those that are not, that are purposely gouging price, are those that they are sending that threat. That's what happened here, okay? Insecurity is bad. But let me tell you though, it is not only the government that controls insecurity in any nation. Individuals, communities, states, and so on must join. That doesn't mean I'm absolving government responsibility. All I'm saying is all hands must be on deck.
But let's come back to the refinery.
Now let's go to refinery. The refinery situation is unfortunate, okay? And I think we've talked about this quite a number of times. Obviously, they are having problems. They have issues with management, no doubt. They have issues with people undermining whatever is being done. Now they are thinking maybe we can send this to contractors. You know, contractors can get job done, no doubt about it, more than government. However, it's not always that good for the society, okay? And there are many reasons. Unless the government has a good monitoring measure to follow those contractors. So it could work if they hand it over to contractors. But hopefully they have to establish a lot of control measures to make sure that those contractors actually are doing the work. Government cannot do it alone. Just like your road constructions, they are being done by contractors. So contractors can do it. one of the negative with this type of, especially with oil in Nigeria or refinery, is that they may end up having those contractors be from foreign nations, okay? And that is sad. I'm not saying that foreigners shouldn't work or shouldn't do things in Nigeria, because otherwise many people in this country will not have to do anything. But the point is, in Nigeria, when they give this over to foreigners, they feel that, oh, we have sent it to heaven, therefore no need to even have an oversight. That is wrong, because historically, look at Port Harcourt, look at River State. It shouldn't be like that. So that's really my caution, that they should still make sure that if they hand it over to contractors, the goal must be what is the best for the country, for Nigerians, and make sure they have monetary measures to go along with whoever they want to hand those over to. Historically, it hasn't done Nigerians very good. But the whole idea of handing over to contractors in general is actually more efficient, because government has never been known to be efficient in any country. And I'm telling you from US experience,
all right,
government has never been known to be efficient, but they do control, which is good.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Nnpcl. It's easier to bring out ideas and say this is the next line of action. The Nnpcl has continued to dribble Nigerians, and the part where the football has got into, it has got into the midfield right now, and Nigerians are chasing after them. They are with the ball. Now they are coming up with another story again that they want to give it to contractors to maintain.
They are tired of giving dates. They are tired of saying September, November, January. So they now want to change it. In 2006, Olusegun Obasanjo, as the president, wanted to sell Port Harcourt and Warri Refinery to Alhaji Nnpcl Dangote.
Yes, I remember.
Somebody who I don't want to mention his name bribe NLC to go on strike. That Nigeria want to give our common our commonwealth to an individual. Understand? This was between 2006 and 2007. So they went on strike. Then Yar'Adua was forced to revoke that sending of Warri and Port Harcourt refinery to Nnpcl Dangote. So you can see what a PDP saw in the morning is what APC is seeing in the night. What PDP saw in the morning is what PDP saw in the morning is what APC is seeing in the night. 2012, Jonathan removed the subsidy. APC went on a protest. APC, that's APC now, the gang, that's AMPP, CPC, ACN, understand? They went on a protest that it must not happen. So, 10 years after, they have now thought it wise that subsidy should be removed. That's why I said that what PDP see in the morning is what APC is seeing in the evening. So if they had allowed Dangote to start managing the refinery from that 2006, we would not have been where we are at this point in time. Then, between 2020 and 2021, Nnpcl say they spent 200 billion on maintenance. 200 billion. So which private sector will have that money? Which private sector will have that money on maintenance? And if you use 200 billion on maintenance and you start refining, how much are you going to sell to recoup your money?
But some are of the opinion that now that they have been suspicious about the way Nnpcl has been handling their business in handing over, talking about some shares of the company to some private partnership, OVH, for instance, and so on and so forth. Is this just another plan to also sell the refinery through the back door to these private individuals?
To one man, to
again,
that same man, to that same man.
To the same OVH.
To the same man.
Don't you think that's another way of looking at it? Because all of a sudden, they are not interested in giving it to private operators.
After giving you dates and postponing it for six times, then I want to give it to one guy. They will come in with a foreign name. Why one guy at Ikoyi is the owner? We know these games. That's why they don't want Dangote to this thing, that to start his refinery. But every evil has expiry date. All these things that they are doing, sooner than later it will come to an end. It will not continue forever.
All right, so of course, Dr. Joe, let's go back to the next conversation quickly, where the Nigerian Police Force has invited the President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero, and the Secretary General of the Union, Comrade Emmanuel Ugwaja, for questioning over alleged criminal intimidation, malicious damage to properties, and conduct likely to cause breach of public peace. The invitation, which was dated August 28, 2024, and signed by the Commissioner of Police, CP Bito Rufus Alajide, was addressed to Ajero and requested him to come along with Ugwaja on an interview with the Deputy Inspector General of Police at the Force Intelligence Department FID complex in Abuja, latest Thursday, September 5, 2024 at 11 a.m. According to the invitation, Ajero's name featured in investigations into the alleged case of criminal intimidation, conduct likely to cause breach of peace, and malicious damage to properties. The police requested his cooperation in this regard and provided a contact number for him to call upon arrival. All right, what are the potential political and social repercussions of the Nigerian Police Force decision to invite the NSC leaders for questioning, especially in the context of ongoing labor disputes and, of course, public demonstrations? And some have said that this is another way for the government to make sure they gag the NLC in the midst of fuel scarcity, so that nobody is going to complain while everybody is suffering on the streets.
Well, you know, one of the things that unfortunately happens in a society that has a lot of distrust and mistrust for themselves, for their government, for their neighbors, and so on, is that everything is clouded, okay? The police has a job to do, and that job has to be done for the society to. Do they get it right all the time? No. Nowhere in the world does the police get it right. But you cannot do with the police, period. You cannot do with some kind of security protection for the public. So I think this thing came up before, and I read yesterday where I believe Mr. Ajero has gone to the police with attorney Fubana, I believe. And I didn't read the detail, but I said, good, that's exactly what I said. He should honor the invitation, most likely with an attorney. Okay? So, police inviting him, and in this case, with another person to Baja, well, that's what police does anywhere in the world. And like I said, police should not stop working because of hunger. That doesn't mean the police is insensitive. That means the police is doing their job. Just like you will not stop, okay, providing security to your country because you have broken water system. You have to be able to do all of them. Otherwise, you are not worthy of yourself a leader. The same thing happens in family. I have two situations this morning that I had to take care of. I didn't plan all of them. That's what life is all about. So again, I think that Mr. Jello or whoever we invite, ideally go with attorneys and find out what they are being charged of, or what they are, sorry, they are invited. They haven't been charged. They are suspects. And police works up suspects. And then the next thing is arrested. So I don't see anything that is outrageous here. And I don't think the police should say, oh, we're going to leave everything. Then that's not a nation.
Why all of a sudden, Mr. Nnpcl, let's go to Mr. Nnpcl so we can wrap it up. Why all of a sudden?
You can see this confusion. Just a few days ago, they were accusing Ajero of terrorism, financing, cyber security, and crime. And I said it here that the accusations were business, that it doesn't make sense, that there's no motive for Ajero to engage in all those things. Understand me? So these new allegations are what happens when people go on protest. They are what happens when people goes on protest. This is not the first time that people have been protesting in this part of the world. And again, is a protest illegal? The answer is no. It is not. So what Ajero did as a leader of a union is what the ILO specified. It's what the Nigeria labor law specified. If government don't want protests, they should make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. Once they are deceiving other people, once they are not living up to expectation, there must be protest. So Ajero will still go and come back. The other one, he spent 1 hour, 5 minutes. Last time, the other invitation, he spent 65 minutes.
Okay.
So this one, he will still go and he will still come back, because for me, this is a sign of idleness on the part of the Nigeria police.
All right, our time really fast spent. We just have to wrap it up today. I want to say big thanks to Dr. Joe Deaja for being a part of the show this evening. It's always a pleasure having you on the issues.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right, have a great one too. Of course, Mr. Nnpcl, it's always a pleasure having you too.
Thank you for having me.
All right, all the best for the weekend.
Wishing you the same.
All right, as we conclude today's edition of the issues, we thank you for joining us. Catch us again at the same time next week on our YouTube channel, Voice of the People TV. Stay connected with us on our other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. I am your host, Jerry Nnpcl. Have a great weekend.